Hi everyone, welcome to our presentation video. This presentation for strategic management subject, where we are going to present to you about Mr. D.I.Y company.
Mr. D.I.Y is a Malaysia-based home improvement retailer that was formed in July 2005, which is 16 years ago by Tan Yu Ye at the Jalan Tunku Abdul Rahman, Kuala Lumpur, that started from the single store and now has been as one of the largest consumer hardware store that provide variety types of products in Malaysia. The company is headquartered in Selangor, Malaysia, which the number of the store 1,788 and 18,000 variety types of product. Mr. D.I.Y has expanded their store by launching their first store in 2009 in the shopping mall that called Aeon. Mr. D.I.Y then marked their milestone when they successfully opened their first store at the Tesco shopping outlet. In 2014, Mr. D.I.Y has created their own history by opening their first store in East Malaysia at One Borneo Hypermarket in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. Mr. D.I.Y opened their first store outside of the countries, where the first country is Brunei, and continue to the Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia, Turkey, and Singapore. From time to time, more achievement when they also launched their own commerce website, which is Mr. D.I.Y e-commerce Sendian Berhad. The business venture of Mr. D.I.Y including Mr. Toy that focus on fun at affordable price in 2019 and the high peak achievement in 2020, which the launching of the Mr. Dollar that offer a wide range of product at always RM2 ringgit or 5 ringgit. The vision for the Mr. D.I.Y is to be the largest home improvement retailer in Asia Pacific. And for their mission, they want to create globally recognized retail brand, to offer a diverse retail experience catering to different customer segments, and the last one, to maintain a wide variety of good quality, value for money items, thereby holding true to motto of always low prices. Now, let's move on to organizational culture of Mr. D.I.Y, which is the sustainability culture. As one of the top employers in the nation, Mr. D.I.Y are committed to deliver a fair, equal, and inclusive working environment for all their staff or workers. Next, Mr. D.I.Y is inclusion and diversity. Mr. D.I.Y will be treated fair and equally regardless of gender, race, age, ethnicity, religion, nationality, or physical ability. Mr. D.I.Y also accepts and supports the employment of individuals who are less fortunate, such as those from underprivileged background or who are lack formal education or credential. Lastly, Mr. D.I.Y is a whistleblowing organization where they are using the whistleblowing policy to maintain the highest and greatest level of standard or professionalism, integrity, and ethical behavior in all aspects of its business and activities. For the goals and objective, they want to set the benchmark in sustainable principles and practices across all areas of Mr. D.I.Y operations.
Mr. D.I.Y has come up with two types of logo, which are in picture logo and in the wording logo. Mr. D.I.Y focus on three main colors, which are yellow, red, and black. As for the yellow, it is the background of the logo, red for the wording, and black for the trademark for Mr. D.I.Y. As for Mr. D.I.Y Board of Directors, the head of Mr. D.I.Y Malaysia Berhad is Dato' Azam Shah bin Alias, who is the Independent Non-Executive Chairman, followed by Tan Yu Ye, the Non-Independent Executive Director. Next, Ong Chu Jin, enshrined as the Chief Executive Officer. Brahma Anak Lelaki Vazudevan, Non-Independent Non-Executive Director. Lastly, Ng Ing Peng, Leng Chu Yin, and Datuk Hamidah binti Naziadin as Mr. D.I.Y Independent Non-Executive Director.
So let's focus on the SWOT analysis of Mr. D.I.Y. And firstly, let's look out for the strengths of Mr. D.I.Y. The first strength is extensive and significant policy. Mr. DIY offer a number of policy, one of which is the return policy. Once the product have been delivered to the customer after a purchase from the platform, the returns policy is intended to protect their customer from unsatisfactory or damaged product by providing a full refund or exchange based on their customer's preference. Often mutual agreement are meeting in the written terms and the condition. Return of the product by the customer are governed and subject to the terms and the restriction outlined in this written policy. The second one is low price with a good quality product. Mr. DIY offer an average of 18,000 different products, ensuring that everyone can find something they like. 10 product categories are represented by the store, like hardware and houseware, electrical, car accessory, furniture, stationery and sport, toy and gift, computer and mobile accessory, jewelry and also cosmetic. Mr. DIY provide a high quality product that are very reasonable price, with the price always low price. Mr. DIY product are cheap for everyone to purchase. And the last one, the e-commerce platform of Mr. DIY. Mr. DIY is a Malaysian largest home appliance retailer with more than 550 stores across Asian Pacific. Launch its e-commerce platform, which is mrdiy.com.my. The launch of this Mr. DIY e-commerce platform aims to reach the wider network of customers as well as share the brand's goal and vision for the future. The main feature in this presentation of the e-commerce website of Mr. DIY is free shipping. Customers can enjoy free delivery to their home in Peninsular Malaysia with no premium spend required for any order under 5 kg. So let's move on to the weaknesses of Mr. DIY. The first weaknesses is actually unorganized store layout. Most of the layout of Mr. DIY is messy, unorganized and chaotic due to the lack of store management. It is true that not all the Mr. DIY store were disordered, but with more than 550 stores across Asian Pacific, it's impossible to Mr. DIY monitor and synchronize all the stores with the same layout. In addition, due to the lack of worker may be the result of Mr. DIY having the unorganized store in certain area. This will diminish the customer satisfaction because the messy layout makes it hard for the customer to find item that they need, and customer will consume a lot of time to finding the item or the product that they want to find. So the second one is seasonal and short run promotion. Mr. DIY hardly does any promotion due to the price of the product being already low, and it will be hard for the business to meet the profit if Mr. DIY needs to do some promotion. It's not like Mr. DIY doesn't have any promotion at all, but it's a rare occasion to see Mr. DIY store do one. If this happen to be, the promotion may be not as big as the other businesses and hardly to be known by the customer. And the last one of the weaknesses of Mr. DIY is employee shortage. Firms from across of the manufacturing industry have been confronting labor shortage as a result of the governance regulation aims at lowering dependency on external workers. A scarcity of foreign workers as a result of the border closures during the pandemic, and is an increasing pandemic affecting immigrants worker. According to the Mr. DIY, 13% of the worker are foreigner, with the majority worker in work in a warehouse. Although there is attempts to lessen reliance on foreign worker by making warehouse more automated, there are some tasks that are required physical labor and are better suitable for a foreign worker.
Moving on into the next part of SWOT analysis, which is opportunity. The first point is growing e-commerce. In response to the pandemic, there was a significant shift in online shopping behavior. In the 6 months ended 30 June 2020, e-commerce revenue increased by more than threefold from RM2.6 million in the previous year to RM17 million. The shift resulted in a significant increase in sales from the www.mrdiy.com.my website and third-party platforms. Following the lockdown, the group e-commerce revenue returned to normal levels, with the company earning RM21.7 million in revenue for the full year. E-commerce will become an increasingly important platform for the group in the future, and the company is leveraging technology to reap greater benefits from these channels and its online operation with the fourth industrial revolution. The next point is building a strong group of talent. Mr. D.I.Y remains committed to the growth of its talent pool. Its current workforce total approximately 11,600 employees, a net increase of 2,100 over the previous year. Malaysia make up 86.8% of the total workforce, while foreigners make up 13.2%. In total, the group spent more than 124,000 hours on external and internal training program that benefit over 5,000 employees, which is employee receiving an average of 25 training hours per year excluding on-the-job training. Mr. D.I.Y must have plan in place for the majority of key managerial position, and it must continue to invest in career development strategy for its key employees. It also has room to improve its employee value propositions. The last point is more collaboration with huge company. Mr. D.I.Y stated in a joint statement that customers may now top up their Touch 'n Go card at any Mr. D.I.Y store and use their Touch 'n Go e-wallet to pay for items both in store and online. Touch 'n Go e-wallet user will be able to browse Mr. D.I.Y catalog, order and pay for the things they desire, and have their orders delivered or available for pickup at their preferred shop, thanks to the strategic relationship which will start in the third quarter of 2021. Collaboration is a valuable business tool for businesses of all sizes and industry. It usually refers to organizations working together to solve problems and achieve a goal that will appear impossible to achieve if they work alone. Mr. D.I.Y is better equipped to develop and grow as well as boost their competitiveness on many levels by merging the efforts and knowledge on several organizations. That is all. Moving on to the last part of SWOT analysis, which is threat. The first point is change in regulations. Change in regulations, such as those imposed by the government, can have an impact on the Mr. D.I.Y industry. This could happen as a result of the Mr. D.I.Y does have outlets across the world. So when business directly influence the customer purchasing behavior and purchasing power, declining economic condition can have an impact on Mr. D.I.Y business performance. The rise in inflation also can raise the cost of production and has impact on corporate profitability. The next point is products easy to imitate by competitors. Mr. D.I.Y offers an average of 18,000 varieties of product, with something for customer divided by 10 categories, which are hardware, household, electrical, car accessories, furnishing, stationery and sport, toys, gift, computer and mobile accessory, and jewelries and cosmetics. As these categories of product were something that were a daily basis need, competitors of Mr. D.I.Y such as Passmores Group, President's Council, Eco Simplistar, Reno Depot and DK Hardware Supply will easily imitate the product that were produced by Mr. D.I.Y in the stores. So the last point is economic downturn. Mr. D.I.Y's performance in the first half of 2021 fell short of expectation due to business interruption caused by the trading limit imposed by mobility restrictions. Although Mr. D.I.Y's second quarter's profit and revenue increased year-on-year, the result declined in quarterly term due to Malaysia COVID-19 driving movement limitation to combat the pandemic. The negative divergence give ascribed to business disruption caused by the tighter lockdown.
Next, we're gonna talk about the strategy formulation framework for the stage 1. As you can see beside me, the table shows the internal factors evaluation of Mr. D.I.Y. The function of internal factors evaluation is a strategy formulation tool that summarizes and evaluates the major strengths and weaknesses in the functional areas of a business. and it is also provides a basis for identifying and evaluating relationship among those areas. The total weighted for Mr. D.I.Y is 2.86 and it is about the average of 2.50. It is indicate that Mr. D.I.Y Malaysian has a strong internal position which fully utilize their strength and ability to overcome their weaknesses. This table shows the external factors evaluation of Mr. D.I.Y. The function of the external factors evaluation is a strategy tool used to examine company external environment and to identify the available opportunity and threats. The total weighted score for Mr. D.I.Y is 2.53. This shows that Mr. D.I.Y Malaysian are doing great. They also have a strong external position which fully utilizes their opportunities and ability to overcome their threats. There is improvement that can be made by Mr. D.I.Y as the highest total weighted score is 4.00. Mr. D.I.Y can improve by do more collaboration with the huge companies. Lastly, the table shows the competitive profile metrics for Mr. D.I.Y. The function for this metric is an essential strategic management tool to compare the firm with the major players of the industry. Competitive profile metrics show the clear picture to the firm about their strong points and weak points relative to their competitors. In this table shows that EcoShop was the best competitors other than Daiso and Ninso. This is indicated by the total weighted score for EcoShop as 3.67, which is the highest weighted score than the other competitors. The most critical success factors for EcoShop are product quality and financial position, which have the highest score of 0.63 for the product quality and 0.68 for the financial position.
Next is achievement. Mr. D.I.Y has several achievements. One of it has been accorded the Brand of the Year National Award at the World Branding Awards in 2019 until 2020 and Regional Award in 2021 until 2022. The World Branding Awards are an annual black tie event hosted by the World Branding Forum, a global non-profit dedicated to the development of branding concept for the benefits of customers and the branding community. For their labor and successes, the awards honor and celebrate some of the top global and national companies. Brand valuation, consumer market research, and public online voting are the three streams that judge the nominees. The company was honored as a winner in World Branding Awards for 3 consecutive years of 2019, 2020, and 2021. Besides, Mr. D.I.Y was accorded Frost & Sullivan's 2021 Malaysia Home Improvement Retail Company of the Year at a virtual ceremony on 16 December 2021.
Frost & Sullivan congratulates Mr. D.I.Y.
This follows the retailer being recognized with the Frost & Sullivan 2020 Market Leadership Award. Frost & Sullivan Best Practices Award is an international award that honors firms that excels in both Frost & Sullivan evaluated dimension, visionary innovation and performance, as well as customer impact. Frost & Sullivan reported that Mr. D.I.Y succeeded in many areas under the home improvement retail market, a tribute to the company's ongoing efforts to implement best practices across the organization. The company was honored with Frost & Sullivan Best Practices Award for 2 consecutive years of 2020 and 2021.
The third achievement is Alpha Southeast Asia 11 Institutional Investor Corporate Awards in 2021. This award is an award that are based on the result of the interpretation poll that analyzed firm financial management, corporate governance, integrated reporting, corporate social responsibility, and investor relation performance. 502 investors and analysts cast a ballot in various categories to determine which publicly traded firm in the Southeast Asia deserve to be recognized. Mr. D.I.Y was honored with 3 awards at the Alpha C11 Institutional Investor Corporate Award 2021, just 1 year after its initial public offering IPO on the Bursa Malaysia. The company won awards for the most organized investor relation and the best senior management IR support, while Lim Chen Hui, the company's senior vice president of finance, was awarded the best CFO in Malaysia in the year 2021.
Next is the challenges or problem that Mr. D.I.Y has been faced. The first challenges is COVID-19 lockdown. Mr. D.I.Y sales in the first half of year 2020 were affected by Malaysia lockdown designated to fight the COVID-19 spread and then putting the company's financial situation in a risk ahead of its plan of a public market debut in Bursa Malaysia due to the temporary close of its store as a result of Malaysia's implementation of stay-at-home policy. The statement said that in the main market of Bursa Malaysia, the sales fell for 24.6% in the 6 months and was ending in 30 June 2020 compared to the average growth of 1.8% in 2019, 4.5% in 2018 and 6.5% in 2017. Due to the decline in Malaysia consumer demand, average sales were down for 0.1%. In the first half of year 2020, revenue was decreased 4.2%, which cost 1.05 billion ringgit compared to 2019 that recorded revenue of 1.09 billion ringgit, and the net profit fell for 25.2%. The second challenges or problem is the controversy of footprint sticker with Arabic characters. Mr. D.I.Y got involved in controversy in the February 2019 with one of their product when 27-second short video showing the footprints car sticker was uploaded on the social media. Following the criticism of the product with Arabic phrasing, Dato' Azlam Shah alias the company's chairman has suspended the sales of footprints and thumbs up car stickers variation from their stores. Consumers who purchased the product will also receive a refund. The company made a second apology to the Muslim community, stating that they had spoken with the manufacturer of the stated sticker who had also expressed regret. Mr. D.I.Y expressed his gratitude to his consumer for their kind feedback. They want to reassure of their stakeholders, especially Muslim consumer and employees, that they had no intention of disrespecting the Muslim community and they are deeply sorry for the mistake. Mr. D.I.Y also took a preventative measure, including forming the new committee and rewriting their standard operation procedure to ensure that this kind of situation will never arise again.